What's up guys, Ramsey here back for another Retro Legends video. We've got a bunch of new champions coming to the game, new rare, new epic, a bunch of legendary, mythical champions, and in this video we're going to be checking all of them out. Let's get into it. As you all know, I've already made a video on this champion. He's the new fusion starting on Monday the 10th. Amazing champion for Arena. I do suggest absolutely getting him. So we won't be looking at his kit because we already did that in the previous video. But to get him, you will need to fuse a rare champion into an epic champion. So let's go over those first. The rare champion is going to be Bone right here. I hide the Stitcher Bone. There we go. So from the Skinwalker, attack one enemy. 50% chance of placing the small decrease attack. On the A2, place an increased resist on all allies for 2 turns. Also places a shield buff on all allies equal to 20% of their max HP for 2 turns. It's just okay. And then on the A3, heals all allies by 15% of this champion's max HP. Also fills the turn meters of all allies by 15%. I think if you're a very early game player and you don't go for the fusion, looks like it could be pretty decent support champion for your team. You know, that's not bad for Arena and Clan Boss with the turn meter feel. This is actually really good for Clan Boss, and that's just a good support ability. Nothing crazy. I wouldn't invest in him, but you know, it's there if you need that type of the champion if you are at the beginning of the game. Now the epic champion is going to be Syandra from the High Health. Looking good, really long hair. So on her A1, she will attack one enemy, she will have 50% chance once booked to steal one random buff from the target. If this attack is critical, 100% chance of stealing one random buff from the target instead. So obviously, you do want to build her with crit rate if you plan on using her. She's a void champion too, which is really good. Attack one enemy 2 times. Each hit as, again, once full 100%. Chance to steal 15% of the target's turn meter. If a hit is critical, as 100% chance of stealing 30% of, again, 100% once booked, 30% of the target's turn meter instead. That's okay. I think that's good. It's pretty decent for Fire Knight. Just regular Fire Knight, you know, 2 hits on the A2 and you can steal the turn meter. It's not bad. And then here, attack all enemies. Before attacking, place an increased accuracy and an increased crit rate on this champion for 2 turns. Increase the duration of all buff on this champion by 1 turn if this attack is critical. I think it's just okay, honestly. Increase the champion's attack by 2% for each buff they receive, stack up to 30%. I mean, what do you guys think? I really don't think she's great. If you do get her, I wouldn't, and you don't go for the fusion, I wouldn't invest in her personally. All right, next up, so we've got a new legendary right here, Zaharis. Dune Herald Zaharis. So on his A1, he's going to attack one enemy. Once booked, 100% chance of stealing 15% of the target turn meter. Okay, that's a thing we're doing now, I guess, with all the champions. Also has 100% chance once booked to apply debuff spread effect, taking 2 random debuff from the target and placing them on all enemies. Okay, a lot of debuff spread on the A1 and turn meter steal. That's actually pretty good. Then on the A2, attack one enemy. Before attacking, 75% chance of stealing all buff from the target enemy. Then applies a buff spread effect, taking all buff from this champion and placing them on all allies because we just stalled them. Place a block buff debuff and a block active skill debuff on the target for 2 turns. So that's pretty good for Chimera. I mean, I guess you could use it in Arena as well, but I do think in Chimera, especially if the Viper form steals some of your buff, you can then steal them back, basically put them on your team and place a block buff and block active skills at the same time, which is really good, specifically for that form. Then on the A3, place 1 intercept stack on the target ally. Also place a block debuff buff and 30% increased speed on all allies for 2 turns. That's really good for Chimera as well and Arena, of course. Then on the passive, at the start of the round, place a 50% increased accuracy buff on all allies for 3 turns. Whenever a debuff on an enemy is removed, expire or has its duration decreased. Fill this champion temperature by 5%. And we have an aura 20% in all battles. So that's really good for speed. Speed aura 20% in all battles. I think he's going to be really good in Chimera. I think you could use him in Arena, but I think really good in Chimera for sure. Next up, we have First Axe Tuskor from the Green tribe. So on his A1, he's going to attack one enemy, 25% chance to grant an extra turn. Okay, we'll see how the damage is on that. Then on the A2, attack all enemies. The damage inflicted by this skill increases by 10% for each buff on this champion. Okay, I do like that. Any champions, just like Taras, the more buff you have on him, the more damage it's going to do. Decrease the cooldown of these skills by 1 turn if this hits, attacks, kills an enemy. If this attacks, kills an enemy. If this attacks, kills 2 or more enemies, grant this champion an extra turn instead. Okay, that could be extremely good for Arena. And then attack one enemy 2 times. Before attacking, place a 15% increase attack and increase damage buff on this champion for 2 turns. Will ignore shield. Grant an extra turn if this attack kills an enemy. Okay, pretty good as well. Again, we don't ignore Stone Skin, unfortunately, so that's kind of disappointing for Arena, but we would want to ignore Stone Skin here. If he ignores Stone Skin, it would be amazing. It's not the case. Looks like it's just going to be, again, we'll have to see what the multipliers are, but looks like it's just going to be an overall good damage dealer, being able to take extra turns. And the passive, each extra turn this champion gets increase their crit damage by 10%. Okay, that's actually interesting. Each extra turn this champion gets also decrease the damage they receive by 5%. Okay, so that'd be interesting for a longer fight, like in Chimera or Hydra. We'll have to see. The damage inflicted by this skill increased by 10% for each buff on this champion. I do like this ability. Increase attack and increase crit damage only on him. Will ignore shields. Grant extra turn. I mean, if this was ignore Stone Skin, I think the champion would be really good. Again, depends on the multiplier. Looks just okay. Looks like a decent damage dealer. We'll have to test him out. All right, so now we have a Void Champion, a Void Legendary left, a Faction Unity Legendary, and then a Mythical Champion to go over. So Khan Branch Breaker. Attack one enemy. Before attacking, remove one random buff from the target. This effect cannot be resisted if this champion is under a shield buff. Okay. Place a block revive debuff if this attack kills an enemy. Okay. Increase the value of any shield buff on this champion by 30% of the damage dealt. Cannot increase by more than 10,000. Okay. Based on defense, little block revive and remove one random buff. On the A2, attack all enemies. Ignore a percentage of each target's defense equal to 50% of the difference between this champion max HP and any shields on them. That's too much math for me, but basically do put a shield on him. Also, unless of the difference between this champion max HP and any shields on them. Okay. Also destroy each target's max HP by 20% of the damage inflicted. Stack up to 50%. This effect will ignore any shield buff. Okay, I'm not a fan of destroying max HP other than Scarab King and the boss in the Cursed City. Like, I don't really see the usage of destroying target's max HP, but that's okay. And then here places a shield buff proportional of this champion defense and a 25% strengthen buff on all allies for 2 turns. Also places a counterattack buff on this champion. Why is the counterattack only on this champion and not on everybody? Why couldn't we have just one more counterattack champion? Whatever. Remove one random debuff from this champion at the start of their turn. At the start of every 4th turn by this champion, remove all debuff from them and places increased defense buff on them for 2 turns. Increase this champion defense by 3% for each debuff removed. Skills stack up to 30%. I'm not sure. I guess we'll have to see how that goes. Ignore percentage of each target's defense equal to 50% of the difference between this champion max HP and any shield. So do we want to put a ton of defense on him so that we can get a big shield out here? But then no HP or like really low HP. I'm not sure. I think that's, we will have to test him out. The kid doesn't look insane, but I don't know. We'll see. We shall see, I guess. Then we've got the new faction unity for Shadowkin, Tetsuya the Deliverer. Really cool champ. Really cool. So on his A1, he's going to attack one enemy, fills the turn meter of all allies by 10% if this attack is critical. That's really good. We do want crit on him, of course. I do want to remind you, the only way to get the faction unity champions is through ×2 or a prism event. Just keep that in mind, and that's why I don't have a single one on my account yet, by the way. On the A2, attack one enemy 2 times, will place 2 extra hits if the target's turn meter is less than 50%, will ignore a percentage of the target's defense that is equal to the target's current turn meter, reset the cooldown if this kills target kill an enemy. Okay, again, we'll have to check what the multipliers are, but that looks like a good ability for damage, of course. Then on the A3, attack one enemy, will steal 100% of the target's turn meter and place a true fear debuff for 2 turns. Okay. Steal 100% of the target's current turn meter and place a true fear. Okay. Then the faction bonuses. The turn meter steal effect and true fear debuff cannot be resisted or blocked. That's actually really good. You just need maybe a Lady Mikage in your team for arena, if you play him in arena, for example, or if you have Shuzen or Yumeko that you use in arena, that could be really good, of course, because they can't resist the true fear and they can resist the turn meter reduction. Factions allies number 2 increases the damage inflicted by this skill based on the I don't know what the deal is with the based on difference between, like that's kind of annoying math to do, honestly. Increases the damage inflicted by this skill based on the difference between this champion's speed and the target speed. Okay, so that'll be really based on that, based on how much speed we have versus the enemy. Then faction, it could be either way, of course, like the enemy has more speed or less speed than us. Then faction allies, if we have 3 of them, will also attack all of the enemies with more than 50% turn meter, steal 100% of each target current turn meter, and places a true fear debuff on them for 2 turns. Okay. On the passive, fill this champion turn meter by 15% whenever an enemy champion take a turn. If there are multiple champions of the team on the team with this skill, only one will activate. Fill the champion turn meter by 15% whenever an enemy champion takes a turn. Okay, that's actually pretty good as well. And then, based on how many allies we have, turn meter increase effect used on allies are 20% more effective. Turn meter increase effect used on enemies are 20% less effective. Only works one. Then whenever this champion has their turn meter filled, increases the damage of the next attack by 5%. Reset after a skill is used. Okay. And then all allies are immune to turn meter reduction effect from enemies. Wow, that's actually really good. For a siege defense team, for example, that would be really good for sure. And then here we have increased speed aura in all battles and increased crit rate in all battles by 50% to Shadowkin. I think it's pretty good. I mean, most of the that one is definitely more geared towards damage and turn meter manipulation. A lot of the faction unity champions, I feel like they're more like just annoying tanky champions, but and control. That one is definitely based more on damage and turn meter manipulation, but looks really good. Looks really good. And then we've got one mythical champion from the Ended, Theodosia. By the way, Calamitous buff, he just got a buff, looks amazing apparently. Theodosia the Disgraced. I love this champion. I think she looks so cool. Let's see the other form. Wow, she looks really cool. All right, let's go over her kit. Of course, guys, let me know in the comments what you think about all the champions so far. Now on the A1, she will attack one enemy, heals all allies by 5% of this champion max HP, fill this champion turn meter by 5% per each ally alive, and by an additional 2.5% per each ally alive. Okay, So every time she's going to do her A1, she will get a turn meter field based on how many allies and enemies are alive, which is obviously really good. Then on the A2, remove all buff from all allies, or debuff, sorry, from all allies. Then place a perfect veil on all allies except this champion. Places a stone skin on this champion for 1 turn. Okay. Perfect veil on everybody, stone skin on herself. Interesting. Revive all dead ally with 50% HP and turn meter, and place an unkillable on all allies for 2 turns. 4 turn cooldown, really good support ability, of course. On the passive, every 7 turns, equalizes the HP of all allies. The HP levels of all allies will be brought to the average HP level of the team. Okay, that's odd. Usually it's to the highest HP from the allies, like whichever allies are the highest HP, that's what we bring the HP to. Now it's going to be based on the average on everybody's HP. Allies will receive 1% less damage for every 2 HP lost, stack up to 25% if there are multiple champions. Okay. Decent. I mean, just a good support form. And here we have speed in all battles by 25%. That's actually huge. All battles, 25%. That's really good, guys. Okay, just a overall solid support champion on the first form. Nothing insane, but pretty solid. Then on the second form, I will find you. Attack one enemy. Destroys the target's speed by 3. Hold up. Let me try again. Destroys the target's speed by 3% up to 30%. Decreases the target's turn meter by 5% per each ally alive, and by an additional 2.5% for each ally alive. Okay. So on the other form, she just get more turn meter. On this one, we're going to destroy the speed and the turn meter, decrease turn meter when we do that A1. Okay? Interesting. Very interesting. Attack all enemies. Before attacking, steal all buff from all enemies. Place a block buff and a decreased defense for 2 turns on all enemies. If an enemy speed is lower than this champion speed, this debuff will be protected. Okay, that's amazing for Hydra. Block buff and decreased defense on the same ability, as well as stealing buff. This is amazing for Hydra. Then also for Arena, you could use that in Arena 100%. Then here, places a sleep debuff for 1 turn and a decreased speed debuff for 2 turns on all enemies. If an enemy speed is lower than this champion speed, the decreased speed debuff will be protected. Means it can't be cleansed, right? The enemy can't do a cleanse and remove it. Then decrease the turn meter of all enemies by 25%. That's amazing for Arena, actually. That's a really good Arena ability. Again, I mean, we do have Stone Skin in the way and all that stuff, but pretty good. And then on the passive, this champion is immune to block active skills debuff. Okay, other than a few champions in Arena, I'm not too worried about it. When allies attack, their damage is increased. When allies attack, their damage is increased by 25% of their target's current turn meter. If there are multiple champions on the team, okay, that's great. Actually, the passive is really good because that means whatever enemy you're going to attack, you will do more damage based on their turn meter. Now, I don't know how it works if you do an AoE attack. I guess it's individual. Even if you do an AoE attack, it's individual for each of the enemies. All right, let me know what you guys think. I think she's a solid champion. I don't think she doesn't look insane on paper, but looks pretty solid to me. All right, that's it. That's all the champions. Sorry, guys. I know that was a long one. Thank you for watching until the end. If you have done so, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.